visions by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, you're asking how can we? We're already demonstrating that with Shagaya and Agbeyiwa farms and the other farms existing in Nigeria that you can really call it piloting of that. So we require to align all these policies with structured research and product development and then the processing, and all of them go together. For example, if you talk about infrastructure, you don't want to travel a long distance with your roots because you're carrying wastewater. Like 70% of what you're carrying is wastewater, and it's because you're paying money to carry waste. So we need to have expanded processing capabilities at the farm level or at the rural level, or if you cannot get that, then you get an aggregation center at the rural level and have a transportation system. So logistics is a big component of value chain development, and that needs to happen if we're looking for how to make this more robust. And we need to also work on different novel products, because some of the times you hear, oh, the roots are too cheap, the prices are slumped, is because we are focused on our traditional or gari, fufu, starch. Can we produce things like sorbitol? Cassava is used to produce dextrose that you use in pharmaceutical grade intravenous.
Even syrup.
Yeah, exactly, cough syrup. And so we can just begin to look into all of that because we've been so focused on the traditional products. So can we go into secondary, what you may call secondary products? It is possible. And the National Root Crop Research Institute has been, like the Honorable Minister mentioned, has been involved in developing new products. And so innovation needs to come into everything that we do. I think the best time is right now that we have the political will and the political support from the highest level, from the presidency to the ministry, and that connects us. So how can we connect this? The public-private sector engagement is already happening. The World Cassava Day was a big day in Abuja, where the private sector, a lot of private sector partners were in the room, and they were all talking, and deals were being made right there, not just talking for presentation's sake. There were deals and there were MOUs that were signed with real companies, and that's a very important thing that we think is happening. The Nigerian Agricultural Development Fund was practically supporting, I think the Berewa farms were also being supported, there was a partnership. So we need to do handshakes across the board, starting from the research where we now develop new varieties. In the past, you just say, we have a variety of cassava called 3572, for example. That was used for everything. Use it for gari, use it for fufu, and when you say starch, we give you. So, but you know that in commercial agriculture, that does not help us. You need to say we have specific varieties for specific industry, and that's what we began to do now, breeding new varieties that are suitable for gari and a different set of new varieties that are suitable for starch. So that kind of scenario is what we are presenting, and then you now have seeding, companies that are producing those seeds, multiplying them in an efficient manner, and be able to reach the farmer. So when you say, I want to buy improved cassava seed, we know where to direct you. We don't just tell you go and buy from just anybody. And those are things you need to stabilize production, like you've heard earlier on. If you don't stabilize the production, then there's nothing to power the industry. You need to have the production, and you need to have the processing and the products that you're going to use those roots, massive root production to feed. And then you need to now have the market systems and the policy where you begin to regulate when do we allow importation of alternative products like wheat flour or whatever product that's going to compete. When are we going to when do we allow, by how much, and at what time frame do we give, so that there's no hunger in the land, but also the farmers are being encouraged and the processors are being encouraged to produce and be able to increase our foreign earning. In the past also, we've been talking about cassava to feed ourselves, and maybe we already have somehow something enough or barely enough to feed ourselves from cassava, but we're not powering the economy enough if we continue to talk about feeding ourselves. And that's why the emphasis on industrialization and export of the product becomes very, very important, because when you sell a unit weight of cassava out in Nigerian markets versus when you export it, you're not getting the same value. So what is going to drive the young man in the street from moving away from buying and selling, for example, to producing, maybe producing roots or maybe processing roots to something that I can export? This is what we want to do. So people will move away from not just blue collar jobs or trading or driving, the mobile keke napep and all of that, and begin to go into farming and begin to see, that they will make real money from it. I think that's the direction we want to support and want to take.
Okay, that's beautiful. We'll take some reports now from states in Nigeria where you can see the huge potential of cassava and what the state governments are doing, the subnational